Module 2, Subject Matter Research. Regardless of how you're going to present your product to your market, you're going to need to do some research on your subject matter. Even if you already know a lot about the subject that your product is going to cover, you can never know too much. Additionally, information is fluid. There is no such thing as static information. Always keep up to date on the latest news and info that has to do with your product. Some industries change very quickly, and keeping your knowledge up to date is imperative. For example, if your product is going to be in the internet marketing niche, you're going to want to ensure that you're not using outdated information and techniques in your product. This rule applies to many other niches as well. You want to provide value to your customers, not outdated material that's either obsolete or incorrect. Number 1. General research. The first step to doing research is to get a general overview of your subject matter. Like I just said, even if you know a lot about your subject, you're still going to want to do some general research to make sure your info is up to date. One great source for general information is forums. Forums almost always have up-to-date info and can give you a great idea of what's going on in your niche. Additionally, if you have any questions, you can always ask the forum members. They will be happy to help in most cases. Just ensure that if you're asking questions, that you don't come across as sounding like a newbie in your niche. Remember, you're going to want to portray yourself as an authority in your niche, so you have more credibility. People want to buy information products from niche authority figures, not newbies. Another great source of general information is the various news sources online. Just type in some of your keywords in Google, and then add the word news to bring up any news stories having to do with your niche. When doing this, always remember to check the date of the news articles you pull up. You don't want to take in outdated information. Make sure the news is current and take note of anything that could have significant impact on your niche and your product. When you're looking up news articles, write down any specific data, statistics, or quotes that come from a strong source of authority. The reason you need to do this is because later on in your product, and even your sales letter for your product, you can use this data to borrow authority from these news sources and enhance your credibility. Another good source for general current info is to check social media sites like Digg, Reddit, and Bebo. If you sort your searches by date, you can even get some very up-to-date info on your niche, making these sites a good mine of useful information. Number 2. Specific research. Once you've gotten a general idea of state of affairs in your niche and your info is useful and current to your market, it's time to do more specific research. This is an extremely important step because this is when you'll be gathering all the information that will constitute your product. How much of this specific research you do depends greatly on how familiar you are with your niche. If you're already an expert or feel very knowledgeable about your niche, the amount of research you need to do will be much less than if you're unfamiliar with your niche. Specific research can be gathered from a variety of sources. One of the quickest and easiest ways to get info is to borrow article directories such as eZine articles, Go articles, article dashboards, and others. These sites have tons of info that are easily accessible to you for your research purposes. Keep in mind when borrowing these article directories that the information you find on them may not necessarily be accurate. If you're having trouble determining the accuracy of the specific information, I suggest going back to the general information research phase and becoming more familiar with your subject matter. Another great source for specific information are online encyclopedias, such as Wikipedia. While these sites can be edited by anyone, the information is typically accurate, since those who are passionate and knowledgeable about the subject bother to edit these pages. Just be careful when looking up in online encyclopedias that you don't end up with a joke wiki like Encyclopedia Dramatica by mistake. These joke wikis are purely for entertainment purposes and don't contain accurate information. Online forums can also be a great source of specific information, depending on the niche you're in and the forum you're visiting. If you find a forum that contains a lot of useful, specific information, bookmark it and use it to gather the info you need. Additionally, there are other websites and blogs that can be very useful as well. A simple Google search can uncover these internet hotspots for you quickly and easily, giving you access to the specific information that you need. Once again, keep in mind that you need to ensure that the information you're taking is accurate. The more research you do and the more knowledgeable about your niche, the better you'll be to weed out any worthless and inaccurate information. Number 3. Stay organized. When you're taking in all of this information, make sure that you're staying organized by taking notes. Either write down the important information in a physical notebook or in a program such as WordPad or Notepad. I would advise against just copying and pasting the info though. By writing it out yourself and in your own words, you instinctively gain a better understanding and familiarity with the information you're taking in. Also, keep your notes organized. Don't just haphazardly throw information into a file or notebook. Sort it by subject matter. For example, if your niche is dog training, don't just jumble up all the information on dog training. Break it up. You might have one section where you compile info just on obedience training, another for tricks, and yet another for agility training, depending on what your product is going to be about. You want your information to be easily accessible when it comes time to turn in your product. You don't want to have to dig through a bunch of jumbled notes to find what you're looking for, so stay organized. Number 4, an alternative method. Sometimes research can be time-consuming and boring. If you've got the financial resources, you can completely outsource this phase by hiring a VA. If you choose to do this, make sure you give very clear instructions on what you need and how it should be organized. VAs are great for data mining, but will function much better if you give them specific instructions. We'll be talking more about outsourcing in detail a little later. For now, let's move on and get into the actual product creation process. Number 5, drafting your outline. Once you have a very clear idea of what your product is going to consist of, you can draft your outline. If your product is going to be an ebook on dog training, it may look something like this. If your product's going to be a video series, your outline might look like this. Number 6, mind maps. To help organize your outline, what you can do is create a mind map. Mind maps are diagrams that can be made using programs such as FreeMind and Xmind. They're very easy to create and can help you keep organized as well as keep track of your progress. You can also add specific sub-branches to each chapter so you can keep track of certain points you want to make. When you complete a node, you can mark it off using special graphics too. Additionally, mind maps are an awesome way to present a video series. Simply go through your videos and explain each node one by one in your videos. Keep in mind though that if covering an entire chapter in one video seems daunting, you can always break them up and explain one or more subnodes per video. Mind maps can also be used to help advertise your product. Showing your market a preview of your mind map is a quick and easy way to demonstrate exactly what your product contains.